This is a 64 gigabyte kit of Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB memory. It consists of two 32 gigabyte modules running at 6400 megahertz. We got Intel XMP ready, Corsair Capellix LED technology, and it supports their iCUE software for customization and lighting effects. And if we flip this thing over, we can see our timings are 32, 40, 40, and 84. So let's crack this package open and see what they gave us in the box. So this just looks like a little safety information booklet, and there's a QR code down here that says DRAM user guide. So I'm assuming if you need help with installation, you should probably scan that QR code because there's nothing else in the package in terms of instructions or anything. All right, so let's just check out the first module here. Pop this guy out. Oh yeah, it's a nice looking RAM module. Nice, it's got some weight to it too. That cooling solution on there is definitely adding some weight. They call it the Corsair DHX cooling, and it's actually quite tall in terms of the heat spreader. So you're gonna wanna pay attention to clearances around your cooler and other hardware if you're gonna go with this stuff. All the pins look good. I don't see any marks or anything like that on there. Everything's looking nice. And it's got this little sidebar here where the LEDs are gonna be able to shine through, and we'll take a look at that when we get these things plugged in. Up top, you have your 10 Capellix LEDs. Corsair says those are super bright and colorful, so again, we'll check that stuff out. And then we got the Dominator logo in the middle there too. I'm assuming that lights up as well. And by the way, you can also get these in white, so if that suits your build better, you don't have to get these black ones like I have here. So let's go plug these into the motherboard, get them all configured, and see what they look like. There's very little clearance between the top of these modules and the big air cooler I have installed in here. That's something you want to pay attention to if you're going to be building with this kit. These modules are standing about 52 or 53 millimeters above the top of the DIMM slots. First things first, I got to make sure my RAM is configured and running properly. With modern RAM kits like this, all you have to do is enable an XMP profile or a DOCP profile if you're on an AMD system to get everything configured properly. It's really as easy as that. And right away we can see it's pulling the proper information for this kit. We have DDR5 running at 6400 megahertz with timings of 32, 40, 40, 84, and at 1.4 volts. Anytime I install a new piece of hardware, I always like to just double check once I get into Windows that it's actually registering and working properly. So I'm just gonna open up CPUZ from CPU ID and just double check some of those settings. So if we go over here to the memory tab, it's showing DDR5, 64 gigabytes. That's good. It means it's registering the full amount of RAM that we installed. And down here, the frequency is correct, even though it says 3200 megahertz, it's actually double that frequency, which is 6400, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be running at. And the timings are perfect too, 32, 40, 40, 84, and 2T. So that means we're good to go. As soon as I jump into the software, I'm taken to this home screen that shows some murals. What it basically is it's kind of like themes. So like you can click on it and the RAM's gonna do whatever that particular theme is. So this one's called Abstract. And there's a murals tab up here where if I click on that, it kind of shows you what it's supposed to be imitating on the RAM. I mean, you can't see all this detail on the RAM obviously, but that's what it's supposed to be doing. So we can click on Liquid, you know, that's what that one does. Interstellar, that's kind of trippy. Rainbow. And then there's just some solid colors as well, Corsair Yellow and Corsair Blue. And if you want to turn these murals off, all you have to do is get rid of this little check mark here. Just click on it and that'll turn it off, and then your RAM will default to whatever your default lighting setting is or whatever preset was selected before that. So if we go to the Home tab here, we can click on the RAM and jump into the settings for the lighting. So right now it's set to watercolor spectrum. So if I open that, that's going to open all the lighting settings for me. So we got tons of presets here, some custom options, some link up options, quick lighting zones. You can actually change what happens on each dim, assign a different effect to each one if you want. You can click all, and you can also make your own zones. So I can call this zone 1 and select maybe just these LEDs, hit create, and now I'm affecting just those LEDs like that. I wouldn't want to do that, so I'm just going to click all. So let's just take a quick look at what all these different presets do. So like I said, this one's watercolor. This is color pulse. Let's crank the speed up here so we can see what's happening a little bit quicker. Okay, color shift. That one's just gonna cycle through all the different random colors. You can select your own if you wanna like define what it's doing so that it's not going through a million different colors. Color warp. You can change the direction of that. Color wave. Let's go up and down. Speed it up. That looks pretty cool. Inside out, speed that guy up. Yeah, so again, this one's just on random colors. It's just kind of opening and closing from the center. That's what it looks like to me. Marquee. That's a pretty common effect on a lot of different system components that have RGB. Rain as well, it's got that like matrix sort of rain effect. Let's put some green on it. Green and blue, how about just green? How does that look like? It's kind of a weird green. Rainbow, again, super standard stuff here. Rainbow wave, also super standard. You can change which direction that happens in. Doesn't have a big like change on what the effect looks like, but yeah. A couple different settings for you there. Sequential, just gonna go through different colors from one module to the other, kind of in an up and down direction. Spiral rainbow, so many rainbow options. They're like all almost the same, but slightly different, I guess. So we got stack. Oh, that one's kind of cool. Let's go up and down. Yeah, that one's pretty neat. Kind of fills up the LEDs. Look at that. I like that one. Strobing. I don't like strobing. It just means it's going to flash on and off at you, which is kind of annoying. Temperature sensitive, so you can set different temperature zones where it'll change the lighting according to those temperatures. It's actually configured to the sensors on the RAM itself. And visor. Wow, that's trippy. Let's go up and down. It's a little bit easier to look at. Slow that one down because it's too fast. That looks pretty cool. Water, I'm not familiar with that one. What's that doing? All right, that's kind of cool. I like the effects that aren't like over the top where that's all you can see in your system. Like a little bit of animation's okay, but I don't like those ones where it just goes crazy and it's all you can see. And then this is just the Corsair audio visualizer if you want to sync stuff up to music. So let's just put that back to something normal. Since we're in the software, I know we're talking about the RAM right now, but we might as well see what else this thing can do. There's a cooling tab that's going to give you some system information here, so you can see what's going on, different temperatures and stuff like that. There's some alerts that you can set. You can change the name of these. You can pin them to your desktop or the home screen on the iCUE software so that they're readily available and easy to see. And you can come over here to device settings, and that's where you can update the software if you need to. And there's a little slider bar here to adjust the brightness of the RAM. Now, if we jump back to the home screen for a second, we can also click on the motherboard. So it's bringing that up, and this is an Asus motherboard. We click on that, and this one doesn't have any built-in RGB, but if it did, this is where we could do some configuration as well. It does have RGB headers, but I don't have anything plugged into those right now. But basically, this is gonna give you control over your motherboard RGB and anything plugged into those headers on the board as well. Essentially, you can use this iCUE software as a one-stop shop, one place to change all your RGB lighting settings, which is nice because these days things can get pretty out of hand. All these manufacturers have different lighting softwares and they all take up system resources, and there could be like 10 different ones depending on how much stuff you have in your system. You could have one for fans, one for your motherboard, one for your RAM, something for your graphics card, and then any RGB strips or anything you have plugged in. So it's nice to have something where if you're comfortable using it and you trust it, you can control everything from one location like this. Overall, this is some really nice looking RAM from Corsair. You got the latest DDR5 specs, good speeds. This particular kit's 6400 megahertz, nice tight timings, and man, does it look good. The overall design of these things, even without the LEDs, I think just looks amazing and elevates the whole system to the next level. Like I said, just make sure you're paying attention to clearances with your other hardware, and you should be good to go. Thanks for watching. Make sure you get subscribed and give the video a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon.